the Law of One Breakdown channel. Have you ever wondered what the raw material actually says about Jesus, free will, sexuality, and even hair? Each week we go straight to the original sessions and explore one topic through the pure wisdom of the Law of One. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this subject. Let's begin. Hello, in this episode I'm going to be talking about the energy centers, also known as chakras. And Ra has a lot to say about this. They're very vital to have them balanced and flowing, not only for our mental and spiritual stability, but our physical stability as well. And I've mentioned Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, a few times, and I'm just going to throw it out again because if you have any doubts whether or not your energy centers are actually real, here's the science behind it. And he has done extensive research, and he has scientists that work for him, and they can measure these things. They can take pictures of these things. They are the real deal. And this is going to be a two-parter, and I might even do more at some point because I just scratched the surface. Ra has so much to say about our energy centers. Okay, so we're just going to get started with session 15.12. Dawn asks, how does an individual go about balancing himself? What is the first step? And this is in reference to the energy centers or the chakras. And Ra says the steps are only one. That is an understanding of the energy centers which make up the mind-body-spirit complex, which is, if you're new to the Law of One, the mind-body-spirit complex is how Ra describes human beings. This understanding may be briefly summarized as follows. The first balancing is of the Malkuth, or Earth, vibratory energy complex, called the red ray complex, okay, also known as the root chakra, okay? And understanding and acceptance of this energy is fundamental. Okay, session 15.12 continues for the next few slides. Okay, and then Ra goes on to say the next energy complex, which may be blocked, is the emotional or personal complex, also known as the orange ray complex. This blockage will often demonstrate itself as personal eccentricities. I can't hardly pronounce that word, but you could see it there, or distortions with regard to self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. Okay, that's your orange second energy centers. The third blockage resembles most closely that which you have called the ego. It is the yellow ray or solar plexus center. Blockages in this center will often manifest as distortions towards power, manipulation, and other social behaviors concerning those close and those associated with the mind-body-spirit complex. Those with blockages in these first three energy centers, or nexi, will have continuing difficulties in ability to further their seeking of the Law of One. Also, in Joe Dispenza's book, he also goes on and on about these first three energy centers, and they are, in fact, the most blocked energy centers that we have in our bodies, generally speaking. And I'm going to put a slide up right now, real quick. And everybody's heard of the solar plexus, but has everybody heard of all these other plexuses? And I had to look it up, and it's in his book too, but plexuses are nerve bundles, and we have them throughout our whole body. And each energy center corresponds to these different plexuses. And that's why it's another reason why we need to be balanced and work with our energy centers. Joe Dispenza also has a meditation called Clearing the Energy Centers, I believe it's called. And you can go to Amazon and download that. Or you can just focus on your energy centers and do it yourself. That's the way I generally do it. Okay, so let's continue on. We're now up to the fourth energy center, and this is what Ra has to say about that. The center of heart, or green ray, is the center from which third density beings may springboard, shall we say, towards infinite intelligence. Blockages in this area may manifest as difficulties in expressing what you may call universal love or compassion. Okay, now we're up to the throat chakra, or the fifth energy center. The blue ray center of energy streaming is the center which, for the first time, is outgoing as well as inboring. Those blocked in this area may have difficulty in grasping the spirit/mind complexes of its own entity, and further difficulty in expressing such understandings of self. Entities blocked in this area may have difficulties in accepting communication from other mind-body-spirit complexes. That's why a lot of times when I had my practice and I would talk to clients, oftentimes I would say, you need to find your voice. Okay, that's another way of saying you need to open up and get the flowing, your fifth energy center. Okay, the next center is the pineal or indigo ray center. Those blocked in this center may experience a lessening of the influx of intelligent energy due to manifestations which appear as unworthiness. This is that of which you spoke. As you can see, this is but one of many distortions due to the several points of energy influx into the mind-body-spirit complex. The indigo ray balancing is quite central to the type of work which revolves about the spirit complex, which has its influx then into the transformation or transmutation of third density to fourth density. It being the energy center receiving the least distorted outpourings of love/light from the intelligent energy, and having also the potential for the key to the gateway of intelligent infinity. So I read Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, and towards the beginning of the book, he talks about he had an experience where he sort of experienced himself in the past, present, and in the future. And if I remember correctly, he believed it to be a kind of his pineal gland, his third eye, his sixth energy center, expanding and opening. And after I read that, I had a hypnosis session. And that I went in to get hypnosis done on myself for spiritual reasons. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I had a profound third eye, pineal gland, sixth energy center experience. And it was nothing short of miraculous, really. It was eye-opening in every imaginable kind of way. And in the third eye kind of way, too. So having these energy centers unblocked and flowing is the key, in my opinion, and in a lot of doctors' opinions now that actually help their clients get through some of these blockages. Eastern medicine has really always known about these and the meridians and whatnot, but Western medicine and Western thought is, getting better by the day, but still lacking in the belief that we're more energy than anything. In fact, you might say we are all energy. And that's what these energy centers are. Okay, now we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about rotation of the energy centers and crystallization of the energy centers in the next few slides. Okay, in session 41.19, Dawn asks, you mentioned variable speed of rotation or activity of energy centers. What did you mean by that? Speed of rotation. And Ross says, each energy center has a wide range of rotational speed, or as you may see it more clearly, in relation to color brilliance. The more strongly the will of the entity concentrates upon and refines or purifies each energy center, the more brilliant or rotationally active each energy center will be. It is not necessary for the energy centers to be activated in order in the case of the self-aware entity. Thusly, entities may have extremely brilliant energy centers while being quite unbalanced in their violet ray aspect due to lack of attention paid to the totality of experience of the entity. Okay, and Ross talking about the crown chakra, which they say doesn't need to be focused on and cleared and balanced like the other energy centers, because it's sort of an overall, and we'll get to that, it's in one of these slides, it's an overall reading of the overall energy center balance or unbalanced or brilliance or rotational of a person. Okay, and this continues on with session 41.19, and Ra continues on to say, the key to balance may then be seen in the unstudied, spontaneous, and honest response of entities towards experiences. Thus, using experience to the utmost, then applying the balancing exercises and achieving the proper attitude for the most purified spectrum of energy center manifestation in violet ray. This is why the brilliance or rotational speed of the energy centers is not considered above the balanced aspect or violet ray manifestation of an entity in regarding harvestability for those entities which are unbalanced, especially as to the primary rays, will not be capable of sustaining the impact of the love and light of intelligent infinity to the extent necessary for harvest. And harvest, to anyone new, is a graduation from one density to the next, and in this case, third density into fourth. So this is a powerful slide for me. When I was making it up, I read it, and it really struck me, because it was like the next day, I had a job interview, and I haven't been to a job interview in a very long time, because I kind of got out of the working world, 9 to 5 kind of thing, and started my own business, and then, the last few years have been kind of different too. And anyway, I'm just kind of getting back to it, and I found myself a little nervous. And I thought, gosh, I mean, come on. Like, why am I so nervous when I don't really care? I kind of just let things flow the way they need to flow. So I didn't have any investment in getting this job or not. And I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, gosh, I don't like feeling this way. I thought I was over, silly little nervous emotions. And then this slide, it basically just struck me, You might say my higher self whacked me over the head with it. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is an experience. This is an experience that's causing me some degree of discomfort, but that's the whole point of it. And so I really took it to heart to, embrace the experience, and everything went just fine. And I went into the interview not nervous at all, and just as friendly as can be, and everybody else was as friendly. And it just went just fine. I didn't have any expectations, and I do believe I used that experience to help me balance, help me learn a little bit more about myself. And so this is a really powerful slide, and I suggest everybody take a picture of it, keep it in your phone for when you have trying times, and to try to use every experience in a spontaneous and unstudied kind of way, is how Ra puts it, and an honest response. So anyway, that's my little sidebar story, and let's move on. Okay, in session 51.7, Dawn asks, you spoke an earlier time of rotational speeds of energy centers. Am I correct in assuming that this is a function of the blockage of the energy center, and when it is less blocked, it is higher speed of rotation, then indicating greater energy instreaming? And Ra says, you are partially correct. In the first 3 energy centers, a full unblocking of this energy will create speeds of rotation. As the entity develops the higher energy centers, however, these centers will then begin to express their nature by forming crystal structures. This is the higher or more balanced form of activation of energy centers, as the space-time nature of this energy is transmuted to the time-space nature of regularization and balancing. And again, just putting your attention on your energy centers. I used to, under hypnosis, walk clients through their energy centers, and it had a profound effect on quite a few people. It just changed aspects of them that were absolutely blocked, that they had no idea. and it was really powerful. Okay, in session 51.8, Dawn asks, what do you mean by crystal structures? And I'm going to go back and forth this slide and another one that I made, and I tried to draw them out as best I can in Canva and my little interpretation of what Ra's talking about here. So Ra says, each of the energy centers of the physical complex may be seen to have a distinctive crystalline structure in the more developed entity. Each will be somewhat different, just like in your world no two snowflakes are alike. However, each is regular. The red energy center often is the shape of a spoked wheel. The orange energy center in the flower shape containing 3 petals. The yellow center, again in a rounded shape, many-faceted as a star. The green energy center, sometimes called the lotus shape, the number of points of the crystalline structure dependent upon the strength of the center. The blue energy center, capable of having perhaps 100 facets and capable of great flashing brilliance. The indigo center, a more quiet center, which has the basic triangular or 3-petaled shape in many, although some adepts who have balanced the lower energies may create more faceted forms. Finishing up session 51.8, Ra says, the violet energy center is the least variable and is sometimes described in your philosophy as 1,000-petaled, as it is the sum of the mind-body-spirit complex distortion totality. So that's what I was saying earlier, that Ra describes the 7th energy center as the sum total of what basically your other energy centers and how unblocked or blocked they are and how much they flow and how radiant they are. Okay, that's all I have for part 1 of the energy centers or chakras. And I hope this helps anyone who does feel like they have unbalanced energy centers, because guess what? We all do. And things pop up in your life. And this is a quick way to start allowing yourself to take things less seriously, really. When I'm flowing, when I really put the work in and meditate and focus on my energy centers, it makes me a much calmer person. I kind of feel like I kind of get into that middle way groove where there's no extreme emotions, and it's quite pleasant. It's a very peaceful way of being. And I'm not saying I'm like that all the time, because I definitely let things get to me from time to time, and it's kind of hard to. The world seems like it's going to hell in a handbasket, but there's also a lot of really good things going on to help strengthen the world. And so having those energy centers flowing is essential. All right. As always, take care, everybody.